Captain Drell and other sympathetic Imperial officers began to openly support the rebellion. They called their movement the Free Systems Alliance and adopted Earth's blue and green colors as their symbol. The Emperor realized he was losing control. For the first time in thousands of years, the Zarthan ruling class faced a serious threat to their power. After consulting with his remaining loyal advisors, Emperor Kralthuz made a decision. Send a message to Earth, he ordered his communication officer. Tell them I am prepared to offer new terms. The terms arrived as Earth's fleet was preparing to strike an Imperial weapon depot. For the first time, the Empire offered something resembling a fair deal. Earth would be granted autonomy within the Empire. Humans would have representation in the Imperial Council. All military action against Earth would cease. President Craig brought the offer to the Global Council. Some members argued that this was a victory worth accepting. Others suspected a trap. Admiral Jones studied the terms carefully. They're offering us special treatment, but the rest of the Alliance worlds would remain under Imperial control. They're trying to divide us from our allies. Earth's response was brief and clear. We will accept nothing less than complete independence for Earth and reparations for Imperial aggression. Furthermore, we insist on independence for any world that desires it. When the Emperor received this response, he crushed the communication device in his clawed hand. They refuse even our generosity. Prepare the final solution. Earth must be eliminated, regardless of the cost. But his empire was no longer the unquestioned power it had once been. As his orders spread through the command structure, they were met with hesitation, and, in some cases, outright refusal. The war had entered its final phase, and the galaxy waited to see if one small planet could truly bring down an empire that had stood for 12,000 years. The message came on a Tuesday. John Miller sat at his desk in NASA's Deep Space Communication Division when the computers began to chime. The sound was not alarming, but it was unusual. John had worked at NASA for 15 years, and he had never heard this particular tone before. "Sir, you need to see this," said Laura, his assistant. She pointed to the screen where a pattern repeated itself. Not random noise from a distant star, but a clear sequence that could only be artificial. John called his team. They worked through the night, decoding what they soon realized was humanity's first contact with alien life. By morning, they had translated enough to understand that the message came from something called the Galactic Empire. Within hours, President Lisa Craig called an emergency meeting at the White House. Leaders from every major nation joined through secure video links. Scientists, military commanders, and diplomats filled the room. The message claims that this galactic empire has existed for over 12,000 years, John explained to the silent room. They say they rule over 734 different alien species across 1,200 worlds. General Ben Harris of the Joint Chiefs stood up. Are they hostile? They don't seem to be threatening us directly, John replied. They're inviting Earth to join their empire. They call it an opportunity. Professor Alan White, the country's leading expert in language patterns, studied the translated message on his tablet. His face grew increasingly troubled. There's something not right about their choice of words, he said. The way they phrase things suggests they expect complete obedience. This isn't an invitation between equals. 3 days later, a more detailed message arrived. The terms of Earth's membership in the Galactic Empire became clear. Earth would need to dismantle 90% of its military forces. Humans would be classified as a Level 3 civilization, which meant they would have no voting rights in imperial matters for 500 years. Earth's resources would be subject to imperial quotas. Any human technology that could potentially threaten imperial security would be banned. President Craig assembled a global council to form a response. Representatives from every nation studied the imperial offer. They're not negotiating with us, said Canadian Prime Minister Steve Brown. They're telling us how things will be. Brazilian President Maria Santos nodded. This is colonization, not partnership. For the first time in history, Earth's nations stood truly united. The vote was unanimous. Earth would reject the Empire's terms and request genuine negotiations as equals. Admiral Paula Jones, newly appointed head of the hastily formed Earth Defense Force, looked grim. If we say no, we need to be ready for consequences. The fact that they can send messages across light years means their technology far exceeds ours. Earth sent its response. Polite but firm, humanity declined the current terms and proposed a meeting of representatives to discuss a more equitable arrangement. 6 days passed with no answer. Then a week. Then 2. On the 30th day after Earth's response, all deep space monitoring stations detected movement at the edge of the solar system. 5 objects, moving faster than anything humans had ever built, crossed the orbit of Pluto. "They're coming," John told the president. "Looks like a small fleet." Earth's military forces went on high alert. Civilians were not told the full truth, but rumors spread quickly. Telescope images of the alien ships appeared online. They were sleek, almost beautiful, with a strange blue glow surrounding them. Admiral Jones gathered her captains. "We have exactly 3 ships capable of reaching the visitors before they reach Earth. None of them are armed with anything that would likely affect vessels of this technology level." President Craig addressed the United Nations in an emergency session. "We stand at the most important moment in human history. We will not surrender our freedom, but we will listen and talk. We are ready to take our place among the stars, but we will do so as equals, not as subjects." As night fell across America, millions looked up at the sky, wondering what the Empire's next move would be. The stars seemed different now, no longer distant points of light, but possible homes to other beings. Beings who were coming, whether humanity was ready or not. The 5 Imperial ships held position just beyond the orbit of Neptune. Earth waited. Military bases around the world stayed on high alert. Regular people tried to continue with their lives, but sales of telescopes reached record highs as everyone wanted to see the visitors. Captain Sam Rodriguez received his orders directly from Admiral Jones. His ship, the Defiance, would carry Earth's diplomats to meet the aliens. The Defiance was not built for war. It was a research vessel, the fastest ship humans had ever built, though still painfully slow compared to the Imperial vessels. "I know we're outmatched," Sam told his crew as they prepared to launch. "But we represent all of humanity today. Whatever happens, we show them our best." The journey to Neptune's orbit took 11 days. During that time, the Imperial ships made no aggressive moves. They simply waited. Dr. Ellen Walsh led the diplomatic team. She had studied the alien messages more than anyone else. "They call themselves the Zarthans," she explained to Sam during the journey. "Their species rules the Empire, with all others serving under them." The Defiance finally reached the meeting point. Sam opened a channel using the frequency from the original messages. "This is Captain Sam Rodriguez of Earth Vessel Defiance. We come in peace to discuss terms." The response was immediate. A 3-dimensional image appeared on the bridge's main screen. The alien looked almost reptilian, with scaled skin in blue-green patterns and 4 eyes set wide apart. "I am Imperial Commander Thrix," the alien said in perfect English. "Your species has rejected the generous offer of the Emperor. This is unusual and concerning." Ellen stepped forward. "We seek fair terms that respect Earth's independence. We wish to join the galactic community as equals." Commander Thrix made a sound like stones grinding together. Sam realized it was laughter. "Equality is earned over millennia," Thrix said. "Your species has barely left its own planet. You have proven yourselves clever, but unproven in wisdom. We have revised our terms." The new offer was worse. Earth would surrender all military capability. Humans would be relocated to designated areas. Earth's resources would be managed directly by Imperial authorities. Ellen remained calm. "These terms are unacceptable. We propose." "You misunderstand," Thrix interrupted. "These are not negotiations. The Emperor has already shown great patience. You will now witness a demonstration of Imperial power." The communication ended abruptly. Sam ordered immediate return to Earth, but before the Defiance could turn around, the Imperial ships moved. Not toward Earth, but toward Pluto. From the safety of great distance, Sam and his crew watched in horror as energy beams from 3 Imperial ships struck Pluto. The dwarf planet cracked like an egg. Its moon, Charon, was next. Within minutes, where Pluto and its moons had been, only a field of debris remained. "My God," Ellen whispered. Sam sent emergency messages to Earth. The Imperial ships turned toward the Defiance, but did not fire. Instead, Commander Thrix's image appeared again. "You have 30 Earth days to accept our terms. After that, we will escalate persuasion techniques." Back on Earth, the news of Pluto's destruction spread quickly. Fear gripped many, but others felt a growing anger. Karen Wright, an engineer at NASA, studied the sensor data from the Defiance. She noticed something strange about the energy readings just before the Imperial weapons fired. "There's a power surge in their shields," she explained to Admiral Jones. "They have to drop part of their defensive field to fire those weapons." Frank Davis had been retired from the military for 5 years when he got the call. His specialty had been unconventional warfare tactics. Now his country needed those skills against an enemy from the stars. "We can't match their technology," Frank told the Joint Military Council. "But they've never faced humans before. They don't know how we think, how we fight." Around the world, factories converted to military production. Space agencies shared technology. Scientists worked around the clock. The plans that emerged were desperate, but innovative. Admiral Jones addressed the defense leaders of Earth. "They expect us to surrender. They think their demonstration frightened us into submission." She looked at each person in the room. "They're wrong. We have 30 days to show them how wrong." The Imperial ships maintained their position, waiting for Earth's surrender. They did not detect the small, stealthy vessels leaving Earth's atmosphere. They did not notice the unusual activity on the far side of the moon. They simply waited, confident in Imperial power that had subdued hundreds of worlds before. They did not understand that humans had never learned how to surrender. On the surface, Earth appeared to be preparing for surrender. News channels showed images of military bases being dismantled. Government officials made speeches about peaceful transition. The Imperial ships in orbit received regular updates about Earth's compliance with their demands. It was all a lie. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Nicole Palmer hadn't seen daylight in 2 weeks. Her team of scientists worked in shifts around the clock, developing shield technology based on Karen Wright's observations of Imperial weapons. "The key is in the frequency modulation," Nicole explained to the military observers. "Their ships create a bubble of altered spacetime, but when they fire weapons, that bubble has to open briefly." In underground bunkers and secret facilities across the world, similar projects moved forward with surprising speed. Humanity had always been at its most creative when threatened. Jack Martinez trained civilian groups in remote areas. A former Special Forces soldier, he now taught farmers and teachers how to form resistance cells. "If they land, if they occupy us, they'll expect us to follow their rules," Jack told his students in the Wyoming wilderness. "We will make them regret that assumption." The Empire sent a delegation to Earth 20 days after the destruction of Pluto. They arrived in a small shuttle, landing in a specially prepared area in Switzerland. The delegation included cultural specialists, administrative officials, and security personnel. They were met with apparent cooperation. Earth's leaders smiled and nodded as the Imperial representatives explained how planets were typically integrated into the Empire. "Earth's transition will be smooth if you follow the established protocols," said the lead Imperial representative, a tall Zarthan named Drex. "Resistance has never succeeded against the Empire." Diane Foster sat in these meetings taking notes. She appeared to be a minor assistant to the American delegation. In reality, she was one of Earth's top intelligence officers. Her job was to learn everything possible about the Empire. Diane noticed small details, the way the aliens reacted to unexpected questions, their discomfort with Earth's varying temperatures, the nervous way they watched humans move. "They're afraid of us," Diane reported to Admiral Jones in a secure room deep under the Pentagon. "Not our technology or weapons. They fear something about humans specifically, something unpredictable." Meanwhile, Eric Chen led a network of the world's best hackers. Working from constantly moving locations, they had achieved what the aliens thought impossible. They had broken into Imperial communications. Their encryption is advanced, but not unbeatable, Eric explained to military leaders via secure video. They'd grown overconfident. They don't expect primitive species to understand their technology. The information gathered by Diane and Eric proved invaluable. Earth learned about the Empire's structure, its weaknesses, and most importantly, its fears. A crashed Imperial scout ship provided even more crucial information. Scientists working in a hidden facility in New Zealand took it apart piece by piece. "Their technology isn't magic," said lead engineer Phil Gordon. "It's just more advanced. But the principles are understandable, and in some cases, their solutions aren't even the most efficient ones." 28 days after the destruction of Pluto, the Imperial delegation announced the construction of a permanent base on the Moon. It would serve as the headquarters for Earth's integration into the Empire. "This is a historic moment for your species," Drex told Earth's representatives. "The beginning of your ascension." What the Empire didn't know was that humanity had already placed its own assets on the Moon. Hidden beneath the lunar surface, observation posts monitored every Imperial movement. When the first Imperial construction ships arrived, Colonel Bill Howard and his team watched from just 2 miles away. "All units in position," Bill reported back to Earth. "Operation Luna Gambit is ready." Admiral Jones received the message in the war room. Around her stood Earth's military leadership, representatives from every major nation. For the first time in human history, there were no divisions of nationality or ideology. There was only humanity against those who would enslave it. "The Empire has given us 30 days to surrender," Jones said. "Tomorrow is day 30. We will give them our answer." She looked at the assembled leaders, then at the holographic display showing the Imperial ships. It's not the answer they're expecting. The Imperial base on the Moon grew quickly. Prefabricated structures rose from the lunar surface, surrounded by energy fields that contained atmosphere. Imperial ships moved between Earth and the Moon, bringing supplies and personnel. From orbit, the base looked like a strange blue flower blooming on the gray surface. The Empire believed their presence was secure. They had detected no unusual activity from Earth. The humans appeared to be complying with all demands, dismantling military installations and preparing for Imperial governance. The day of Earth's deadline arrived. The Imperial commander on the Moon, Subprefect Jax, prepared to receive Earth's formal surrender. He stood in the command center, surrounded by Zarthan officers. "Primitive species always surrender when shown superior force," Jax said confidently. "Humans will be no different." At that moment, Colonel Bill Howard gave the order. "Execute Luna Gambit." Beneath the lunar surface, 12 stealth ships powered up. These vessels had been hidden on the Moon before the Empire's arrival, using technology developed from Karen Wright's discoveries. They were invisible to Imperial sensors. The stealth ships rose silently from hidden bunkers. They surrounded the Imperial base, still undetected. On each ship, weapon systems unlike anything humans had built before came online. Lieutenant Carol Martinez sat at the control station of Earth's global defense grid. Hidden installations around the planet activated shields designed to block Imperial bombardment. The technology was based on the Zarthan's own designs, modified by human engineers. "Defense grid at full power," Carol reported. "Earth is protected." In space, Admiral Greg Taylor commanded Earth's first battle fleet. 50 ships, built in secret underground facilities and launched at night, moved into position. These vessels were smaller than Imperial warships, but carried weapons specifically designed to target the weaknesses Karen Wright had identified. The first indication the Empire had that something was wrong came when Colonel Howard's ships opened fire on the lunar base. The specialized weapons didn't target the buildings. Instead, they disrupted the energy fields containing the base's atmosphere. Alarms blared throughout the Imperial base as oxygen escaped into space. The Zarthans rushed to emergency shelters, confused by the sudden attack. "Impossible," shouted Sub-Prefect Jax. "Their technology is too primitive for this." On Earth, President Craig addressed the world. "Today, humanity gives its answer to the Empire's demands. We will not surrender our freedom. We will not bow to threats. We are humanity, and we stand together." The 5 Imperial warships that had destroyed Pluto moved toward the moon to defend their base. They were met by Admiral Taylor's fleet. "Remember the plan," Taylor told his captains. "Don't engage directly. Hit and run. Target their weapon ports when they prepare to fire." The human ships were faster and more maneuverable than the Imperial vessels. They darted in, fired at precise points, then sped away before the Empire could respond effectively. The Imperial ships struggled to track the smaller, quicker Earth vessels. Commander Thrix, leading the Imperial fleet, called for reinforcements. He sent a faster-than-light message to the nearest Imperial stronghold, requesting immediate assistance. But the message never arrived. Earth scientists had developed quantum disruption technology that prevented faster-than-light communications near the planet. The Empire was on its own. The battle for the moon lasted 3 hours. When it ended, the Imperial base was in ruins. 3 Imperial warships had been disabled, their crews evacuating in lifeboats. The other 2 retreated to a safe distance. Colonel Howard's team landed on the lunar surface and secured the remains of the Imperial base. They captured important technology and several Imperial officers, including Sub-Prefect Jax. On the main Imperial command ship, Commander Thrix received a direct communication from Emperor Krell Thus himself. The Emperor's 4 eyes burned with anger as he appeared on the view screen. "These humans refuse our generous offers," the Emperor hissed. "They attack Imperial forces without provocation. This cannot stand. You will return to Imperial space and bring back the 7th Fleet. Earth will be an example to all who defy the Empire." Commander Thrix bowed. "Yes, Emperor. What of the humans? They have chosen extinction." The Emperor replied, "We will grant their wish." The message was intercepted by Eric Chen's hackers. Within minutes, Earth's leaders knew the Empire's plans. President Craig called an emergency meeting of the Global Defense Council. "They're coming back with a bigger fleet. We need to prepare." Admiral Jones stood. "We're ready. We've shown we can fight them. Now we need to show them we can win." News of the human victory spread through the Empire faster than the Imperial authorities could contain it. For 12,000 years, the Empire had expanded without serious challenge. Now, a species from a small blue planet on the edge of the galaxy had not only refused membership, but had successfully fought back. On the planet Vexar, home to a species conquered 3 centuries earlier, people gathered in secret to share stories of the humans. On Tralfor, miners whispered about Earth during shift changes. In the crowded cities of Ninbari Prime, street artists painted symbols representing Earth's resistance. The Empire tried to control the narrative. Official channels described the humans as dangerous savages who had attacked peaceful Imperial representatives. But too many alien species had their own histories of Imperial invitations that couldn't be refused. Captain Drell served in the Imperial fleet for 200 years. He came from the Keldari people, one of the first species to be absorbed into the Empire. Like many officers from non-Zarthan backgrounds, he had risen through the ranks slowly, facing constant prejudice. Drell made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Using encrypted channels known only to certain resistance groups, he contacted Earth. "This is Captain Drell of the Imperial vessel Cosmic Dawn," his message began. "I represent others within the Empire who disagree with the Emperor's expansion policies. Your resistance has created an opportunity unlike any in Imperial history." When Diane Foster received this message, she was skeptical. It could be a trap. She warned Admiral Jones, but after careful verification, Earth's leaders became convinced that Drell was genuine. Susan Allen, formerly a diplomat with the United Nations, became Earth's chief contact with Drell and other Imperial dissidents. Working from a secure facility in Australia, she established a network that stretched across dozens of star systems. The Empire isn't as unified as they want us to believe, Susan reported to the Global Defense Council. Many species resent Zarthan rule. Some have been waiting centuries for a chance to push back. Earth launched its own information campaign. Using the communications protocols they had learned from Imperial systems, they broadcast messages throughout nearby sectors of the Empire. These messages showed Earth's culture, explained human values, and challenged Imperial propaganda. The broadcasts reached the planet Mykara, where Imperial rule was particularly harsh. Inspired by Earth's example, the Mykarans staged a work stoppage that paralyzed a key Imperial shipyard. General Paul Williams coordinated Earth's growing military cooperation with alien allies. Using information provided by Captain Drell and others, Earth forces conducted precision strikes against Imperial supply depots. "We can't match their numbers," Paul told his officers, "but we can disrupt their supply lines and force them to spread their forces thin." On the Imperial capital, Emperor Kral thus faced growing dissent within his own ruling council. Some members, particularly those from non-Zarthan species, urged a more diplomatic approach with Earth. "Perhaps we should consider genuine negotiations," suggested Council Member Traz, a respected elder from the Valoran species. "The humans have demonstrated unusual capabilities. They could be valuable allies rather than subjects." The Emperor's inner circle of Zarthan hardliners rejected such ideas. "Compromise is weakness," declared War Minister Zex. "One small victory does not change the fundamental truth that humans are primitives who must be taught their place." The debate grew heated. For the first time in 4,000 years, the Imperial Council chamber heard raised voices and open disagreement. When the session ended, the council was clearly divided between warhawks and those favoring true negotiation. Emperor Kral thus made his decision. He would not tolerate dissent, either from humans or within his own council. He summoned Admiral Vex, commander of the Empire's most powerful fleet. "Take the 7th Fleet to Earth," the Emperor ordered. "End this problem permanently. Make an example of the humans that will silence any thoughts of resistance for the next 1,000 years." Admiral Vex bowed. "As you command, Emperor, the 7th Fleet has never failed in its mission." What neither of them knew was that Council Member Traz had secretly recorded this conversation. The recording reached Captain Drell within hours, and from him to Susan Allen on Earth. The 7th Fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system like a storm of metal and light. 500 warships, each larger than anything humans had built, emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. At their center was the dreadnought Imperial Will, Admiral Vex's flagship, and the most powerful warship in the Empire. Earth's long-range sensors detected them immediately. Warning systems activated around the world. Civilians moved to underground shelters that had been built over the past months. Soldiers and pilots reported to their stations. Dr. Linda Clark stood in the control room of Earth's orbital defense grid. As the designer of the system, she had worked tirelessly to expand and improve it since the first battle. "The grid is at full power," Linda reported to Admiral Jones, "but I don't know if it can withstand that many ships firing at once." Admiral Jones nodded grimly. "It doesn't need to stop them all. Just buy us time for the counterattack." The Imperial fleet moved slowly and confidently toward Earth. Admiral Vex stood on the bridge of the Imperial Will, watching the blue planet grow larger on the view screen. "These humans think they are special," Vex told his officers. "Every species believes that, until they learn their true place in the galaxy." Begin the attack sequence. The leading ships of the Imperial fleet opened fire. Massive energy beams streaked toward Earth, powerful enough to crack the planet's crust. They never reached their target. Earth's defense grid activated, creating a shimmering barrier around the planet. The Imperial weapons struck the shield, causing it to flare brilliantly, but they could not penetrate it. "Impossible," Vex shouted. "Their technology is too primitive for such defenses." What the Admiral didn't know was that Earth had been preparing for this moment. Every piece of captured Imperial technology had been studied and improved upon. Every weakness had been identified and exploited. Vice Admiral Helen Morrison commanded Earth's main defense fleet. 200 ships, built in hidden facilities around the world, rose from Earth's atmosphere to meet the Imperial force. "Remember your training," Helen told her captains. "Don't engage directly. Hit and run. Target their weapon ports when they prepare to fire." Captain Ryan Green led the smaller attack vessels. His specialty was guerrilla tactics, applied now to space combat. His ships darted between the larger Imperial vessels, firing precisely at vulnerable points before the Empire could respond. "Keep moving," Ryan ordered his pilots. "Don't let them lock onto you." The battle spread across the space around Earth. Imperial ships fired massive energy weapons, while Earth vessels countered with more focused, strategic attacks. The human ships were smaller but faster and more agile. On Earth, scientist Dan Mitchell activated his gravitational disruption array. Built beneath the Sahara Desert, the massive device created artificial gravity wells that pulled Imperial ships off course and disrupted their formations. "It's working," Dan reported as he watched Imperial ships struggle against invisible forces. "Their ships are designed for open space, not variable gravity fields." Admiral Vex grew increasingly frustrated as the battle continued. His overwhelming force advantage was being negated by human tactics and technology he didn't understand. "Bring us closer," he ordered. "All ships, increase power to weapons. We will break through their defenses by sheer force." The Imperial ships pressed forward, taking heavy losses, but slowly advancing toward Earth. The defense grid began to flicker as it absorbed more and more energy from Imperial weapons. Commander Jeff Barnes led a special operations team aboard a stealth ship, approaching the Imperial will from beneath. His mission was the most dangerous and most important of the battle. "Prepare for boarding," Jeff told his team as they neared the Imperial flagship. "Remember, we need to reach the main control room. Everything depends on it." The battle raged for 7 days. Imperial ships filled Earth's skies, their weapons creating aurora-like displays as they struck the failing defense grid. Human forces fought with desperate courage, knowing there was nowhere to retreat. On the 7th day, Jeff's team successfully boarded the Imperial will. Fighting through corridors filled with Zarthan guards, they reached the main control room. In a fierce firefight, they captured Admiral Vex and took control of the flagship. Using the Imperial will's communication systems, Jeff broadcast a message to the entire fleet. "This is Commander Jeff Barnes of Earth. Your Admiral is our prisoner. Your flagship is under our control. Cease fire immediately." The Imperial fleet faltered, confused by the loss of their command ship. Taking advantage of the moment, Earth's forces launched a coordinated attack that disabled dozens more Imperial vessels. When the fighting finally stopped, Earth had achieved the impossible, a tactical victory against the Empire's most powerful fleet. The cost had been high, with thousands of lives lost and much of Earth's infrastructure damaged. But as Admiral Jones surveyed the aftermath, she received disturbing news from their allies within the Empire. "The Emperor is not accepting defeat," Captain Drell's message read. "He is mobilizing every available ship in the Empire. The next force will make the 7th Fleet look small by comparison." Earth had won a battle, but the war was far from over. 2 weeks after the battle for Earth, the Global Council met in the underground chambers of Geneva. Representatives from every nation gathered to decide humanity's next move. The room was tense with both victory and worry. "We've proven we can defend our world," said President Craig. "But Captain Drell's intelligence confirms that the Empire is preparing an even larger force. We cannot survive an endless war of attrition." Admiral Jones stood at the main display, showing the latest data from their spy network. The Empire has advantages in numbers and industrial capacity, but they also have weaknesses we haven't yet exploited. She pointed to several locations on the galactic map. These are key Imperial supply hubs. These are their main shipyards. And these are worlds where resistance movements are strongest. The Council debated through the night. By morning, they had reached a decision that would change the course of the war. Earth would not wait for the next Imperial attack. Instead, they would take the fight to the Empire. Admiral Scott Lewis was chosen to lead Earth's expeditionary fleet. A veteran of the recent battle, he had shown exceptional tactical skill against superior forces. "Our target is not conquest," Scott told his captains as they prepared for departure. "We're going to hit their infrastructure, disrupt their supply lines, and show other worlds that the Empire is vulnerable." Earth's fleet departed under cover of a sensor-blocking shield developed by Dr. Linda Clark. 100 ships, carrying Earth's best technology and bravest crews, vanished into the depths of space. Their first target was an Imperial fuel processing station in a distant star system. The station supplied energy for 1/4 of the Imperial fleet. Earth's ships struck without warning, disabled the station's defenses, and disappeared before Imperial reinforcements arrived. Dr. Kevin Harris had worked day and night to develop a new communication technology. Using principles learned from captured Imperial devices, he created a system that could directly translate between humans and any species in the Empire. "This isn't just about language," Kevin explained to Susan Allen as she prepared to use the system. "It's about bypassing Imperial control. For millennia, the Empire has controlled how species communicate with each other." Susan used the new technology to contact resistance groups throughout Imperial space. For the first time, different species could speak directly to each other without Imperial translation or monitoring. "We are not alone in our desire for freedom," Susan told Earth's leaders after establishing these connections. "Dozens of worlds are ready to rise up. They were just waiting for proof that the Empire could be challenged." Major Julia Lewis coordinated these growing resistance movements. From a hidden base on a moon of Jupiter, she managed a complex network of rebels, spies, and allies. "Synchronize your attacks with Earth's fleet movements," Julia instructed resistance leaders across the galaxy. "When we hit their main shipyard at Tyros, your people should disable the communication relays in your sectors." As weeks passed, the Empire faced a nightmare scenario. Rebellions erupted on multiple worlds simultaneously. Supply shipments vanished. Communication networks failed. Imperial forces rushed from crisis to crisis, stretched increasingly thin. The Emperor raged at his commanders. How can one primitive species cause such chaos, find their fleet, crush their allies? But Earth's ships never stayed in one place long enough to be caught. Using faster-than-light drives reverse-engineered from captured Imperial vessels, they appeared, attacked, and vanished before the Empire could respond. 6 months after Earth's first counterattack, the war reached its climax. The Free Systems Alliance had grown to include 73 worlds openly rebelling against Imperial rule. Earth's expeditionary fleet, now joined by ships from other species, pushed deeper into Imperial territory. Their target was Zarthar itself, the Imperial throne world. For 12,000 years, no enemy had ever threatened the Zarthan homeworld. Its defenses were legendary, its orbital platforms capable of destroying entire fleets. Admiral Scott Lewis stood on the bridge of his flagship as the combined Alliance fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Zarthan system. "All ships report ready," his communications officer said. "Our allies are in position." Scott nodded. "Begin the approach. Remember, our goal is not destruction. We want to force a real negotiation, not create another empire." The Alliance fleet moved forward, a mix of Earth vessels and ships from dozens of formerly subjugated species. They flew in formations developed by human tacticians, but modified with input from other cultures, creating battle strategies the Empire had never encountered before. On Zarthar, Emperor Kral thus received the news with cold fury. How dare they approach the sacred homeworld? Launch all defensive fleets. No ship shall reach Zarthan orbit. The Imperial Home Guard was the largest concentration of military power in the galaxy. 2,000 warships moved to intercept the Alliance fleet. The Emperor was certain of victory. What he didn't know was that Commander Brad Nelson led a diplomatic team already on Zarthar. They had arrived secretly weeks earlier, transported by Captain Drell and other Imperial defectors. Brad's team made contact with the growing Zarthan opposition movement, citizens who had seen their eternal empire crumbling and wanted change. "The Emperor claims to protect Zarthan glory," said Thax, a prominent Zarthan scholar. "But his policies have brought us to the brink of destruction. Many of us are ready for a different path." As the space battle began, Brad's team moved toward the Imperial Palace with their Zarthan allies. Their goal was not assassination but communication, opening a direct channel to the Imperial Council that the Emperor couldn't control. In space, the Alliance fleet executed a complex strategy. Instead of directly engaging the numerically superior Imperial forces, they split into smaller groups, drawing Imperial ships away from their defensive positions. Then, using the gravitational disruption technology developed by Dan Mitchell, they created artificial distortions that confused Imperial sensors and disrupted their formations. "They're scattered and disorganized," Scott reported to Earth. "Beginning Phase 2. Special teams from multiple Alliance species boarded key Imperial command ships. Using non-lethal weapons designed by Earth scientists, they captured rather than killed Imperial officers. Each success further demoralized the Imperial forces. On Zarthar, Brad's team reached the Imperial Council chamber just as news of the battle's turn reached the Emperor. Krell thus raged at his advisors, ordering increasingly desperate measures. "If necessary, we will destroy our own outer colonies to crush this rebellion," the Emperor shouted. The council members looked at each other in shock. Some began to move away from the throne. Council member Traz stood up. "No, Emperor, we will not sacrifice our people for your pride. This war must end." Other council members joined Traz's defiance. The Emperor ordered his guards to arrest them, but the guards hesitated, uncertain where their duty lay as the Empire crumbled around them. Brad Nelson entered the chamber with his team and Zarthan allies. "I bring terms from the Free Systems Alliance," he announced, "not for surrender, but for peace." The Emperor tried one last desperate measure. He signaled his personal guard to initiate a doomsday protocol that would destroy the Alliance fleet at the cost of the outer Zarthan planets.